Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician. And if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Today, we're going to talk about sleep twitches and leg movements that occur as you're about to fall asleep. And we will see that the best strategy for reducing those events is probably using the same techniques that you're using to sleep better overall, meaning cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. Nice having you back here. If it's your first time on this channel, big welcome to you, and I hope you find something valuable to you here. And as I mentioned, we're going to talk today about these muscle movements that a lot of people report having just as they're about to fall asleep. And we will see that, the best strategy to prevent these from happening or to reduce the occurrence of them probably is to use the same strategies that we are using kind of overall to treat our insomnia, which includes bedtime restriction, limiting time in bed, and stimulus control, getting out of the bed if you're not sleeping, and all the other CBT techniques that we have become familiar with. If you've been following this channel, and if this sounds kind of completely new to you, then by all just explore, particularly the first videos here, number 1 and number 5, number 14, 21. Those will be helpful to you if you're new to the channel. So without further ado, we will jump right into this. And just as always, a quick disclaimer, nothing here is specific medical advice to anyone, but general thoughts and advice. And you have to decide yourself if what I say here may be applicable to your situation. So I read as much as I could this last few days about hypnic jerks and other muscle movements that occur at sleep onset. And I want to share two papers that I reviewed today. One is this one. It's simply called hypnic jerks, and it is it's from Sleep Medicine Clinic in 2015. Now, firstly, I want to read from the introduction here. It says, parasomnias are abnormal events during sleep. So basically anything that is undesirable that happens in sleep can be called a parasomnia. Now, sleep-wake transition disorders are a type of parasomnias. Hadn't heard this term before. Very helpful. Sleep-wake transition disorders. So we hear just by that these are things that happen as you're transitioning from wakefulness to sleep. And then it says, hypnic jerks, also known as sleep starts or sleep twitches or night start or sleep jerks, are included in these sleep-wake transition disorders. So I wanted to highlight that because the way I've always thought about this intuitively, and I think this gives that some credibility, is that things that happen as we're are about to fall asleep, meaning you're about to fall asleep and then you suddenly wake up and you're really alert, or you are about to fall asleep and you have like a jerky leg movement or body movement, or you're about to fall asleep and you feel like twitches. I think they're all related and they can all be kind of bundled into this thing called sleep-wake transition disorder. So as we move forward, if you feel like you have more of the twitches or kind of the startled arousal or like a leg or a body movement, they're probably all related. And going forward, I'll just refer to them as hypnic jerks for a little bit of simplicity. Now, moving forward in this paper, there was kind of one more thing I thought was interesting to bring up. And they talk about why we have these. And it says, well, first of all, hypnic jerks occur intermittently in 70% of the population. Almost everyone has them at some point. 10% have almost daily symptoms. So there are a lot of people out there that have hypnic jerks a lot. Now, hypnic jerks involve a major portion of the brain and occur quickly during sleep onset. So they're trying to explain this. And basically what I'm finding is like nobody knows exactly why these events occur, but they involve a big part of the brain that's kind of suddenly activated, and we don't really know why. We can't really get more specific than that. That was the first paper. A few things from that one. Then the second one was this one called Intensified Hypnic Jerks. And it is a paper from the Journal of Clinical Neurophysiology from 2013. And a couple of things here. So in this study, they took 10 subjects, so 10 people, presenting with repeated jerky movements at sleep onset anxiety and sleep onset insomnia. And this was the one paper I found where they specifically looked at people that had, a combination of jerky leg movements and insomnia. And let's see here, what they found that I found interesting in this study was that fact that the subjects had insomnia, and then a few more things. In fact, there may have been just one more thing. Yeah, actually, there was just one more thing that I want to bring up here, was that they say it's important to be aware that sleep onset physiological jerks will disappear eventually without treatment. So, and they have a reference. I couldn't find that original paper that they're referring to, but I thought it was good to bring up that it, at least according to this study, these hypnic jerks, these type of events do, I guess, it doesn't say exactly, but it seems like for most people, they do resolve with time. Now, a couple other things which maybe are more important here. I did read that if you are sleep deprived, if you're not getting enough sleep, you tend to have more of these jerks. The other thing that we're reading out here is that they are related to anxiety, hypervigilance. If you're hyper alert, if you're stressed, you have more of them. So one of our viewers here wrote to me, Naomi, and said that, if she has a couple of bad nights, the hypnic jerks get worse. If she sleeps really poorly, she will have more of them. And I think there could be two reasons explaining that. One is simply that if you go through a stretch of nights where you sleep very little, you're sleep deprived. And sleep deprivation can, trigger hypnic jerks. So that could be one reason. The other reason is that, if you sleep really poorly for a couple of nights, then you become more anxious. You become more stressed. And the stress anxiety could also be triggering more of these type of events. So I think kind of the general approach to sleeping better, using bedtime restriction and other CBT techniques that I always talk about on this channel, are probably the best thing, because they overall help you with insomnia. And then as a secondary benefit, the hypnic jerks will improve. And I do believe that when it comes to insomnia generally, like the more you think about your sleep, the more you worry about it, the worse the insomnia becomes. Probably the same thing with these hypnic jerks. Like the more you think about them, the more you worry about them, kind of like the more pressure and tension there is, and the worse they become. And this is one of the things that's hard to do, but the less you can worry about them, probably the better they will become. And then finally, just as with insomnia, a lot of times people wonder, like, is there a certain, maybe a supplement I need, or maybe I'm low on this vitamin, or maybe I need this mineral, and I have not come across anything to support that, meaning it is probably not as simple as I'm low on calcium, I need more calcium, or I'm low on vitamin D, I need more vitamin D. And I will say, just as I say with insomnia, like if you think that potentially this particular supplement may be helpful for these hypnic jerks, no reason not to try, but then don't necessarily expect them to work. There's no evidence to back that up, and don't be disappointed if they do. So I think, in summary here, when it comes to these type of what we learned to be sleep-wake transition disorders, probably employing the, treating your insomnia overall, I think is the best strategy for decreasing them. Hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please email me. My email is daniel@insomniainsight.com, or leave a comment here, or follow me on any of the other social media channels that you can connect with me on, and those are in the description for this video. So again, I hope this helped you, and I hope to have you back here real soon. Until then, bye-bye.